what you didn't get to see was all the work that goes on behind the scenes to make that good result versus just the ChatGPT result. And that's the reason I wanted Jason to come here from Aegis, because a big key of this is structuring the data. So again, we can feed the AI just the right pieces with logical connections. So Jason, to start, go back before AI again. And you guys have built a sophisticated and good model before this AI existed. Why did you do that? And what was the purpose of that?
Well, thank you. It's interesting because Sato-san touched on there is the machines know a great deal, but the scope of what they know is maybe not as great as people think. So depicted here, we have at the bottom the machine data. And when we founded the company, we thought from the beginning that the most important thing we could do was to have a large, meaningful, structured data model. Everything else was secondary to that goal. And at the bottom was the machine data. And we did that since 2000. From 1997, we had the CAD model. It's actually the core of the entire data model. And then above that is an oft-forgotten element, which is the human in the factory. We still have them, or will have them, and they produce data through their actions in production. And then that's added with the business system information. When you combine all of that, the data becomes very powerful for use in other systems. Now, originally, the reason we did it was analytics, basic analytics, and actually running execution of the shop floor, we felt required all of that. The meaningful links of all that data drive the execution. But what's interesting now is with AI and what Arch is doing, it's one of those kind of fortunate situations where with the emergence of AI, Arch is able to leverage that holistic data that's structured and doesn't have to be retagged or reprocessed into labels in a way that then can be used in more powerful applications, as we just saw.
Yeah, I'll just double on that point. It's funny that there's an old AI and a new AI already, but the old AI, which is often called classical AI, is like take sensor data and predict that the temperature is getting too hot. And that needs your data really well structured. You know, if you had an Excel spreadsheet, it's have the name of the temperature and the timestamp and everything super even. But this new AI, the thinking, talking AI, works like a human. And so if your data model is structured really well for expert humans, it is also structured well for AI. So you just explained that, which was great. And that's one of the reasons we've been so excited about the partnership, is we recognize we like you all as people very much. And we also recognize that your data model had this lucky or sage prediction of it should be structured. Talking your view, Jason, about this lack of experts, do you see this in your deployments where factories could get a lot more out of your software if they had more people with more time? And when does that come up?
It is actually, honestly, one of our corporate disappointments is that we generate a great deal of data and we can make it available to the operators and dashboards and so forth, but it's the bottleneck is the availability of the experts. And it's not really a skill issue, it's just time availability and their resources to actually gain insight from the data. So it's always been frustrating to us that we knew how much could be done with the data, but pre-AI and pre our work with Arch, it wasn't necessarily possible. And so that's what's really exciting about the partnership. And also, to extend what you were saying, it is interesting when our companies started working together, our technical teams found that the way we modeled and looked at data was almost identical. And so the integration was really quite easy.
Yeah, that's right. That was a striking realization that for two different purposes.